Hello, Mr. Kenny Perkins. Welcome to Infinite Icons. So nice to see you. How are you this morning?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for asking. Yes.
Oh, cool. So we all know you through your podcast, All Talk Oncology. Oh, that's wonderful. That's so helpful to so many people. So for those who do not know you, could you please give us a little introduction about yourself?
Yes. Kenny Perkins, I've been in the cancer industry now for over 2 decades. I started out as an X-ray tech and then went into radiation oncology as a radiation therapist. I spent, yeah, pretty much 20 plus years as a radiation therapist, giving treatments to cancer patients and just being a support system. What I decided, what I noticed in that industry is that everyone is doing their job, right? The physicians, the nurses, the therapists, but there was something that was lacking, I thought from a patient standpoint, and that is from the emotional standpoint, right? Um, how do you sleep at night? Yeah, you come in for your treatments, you speak to your doctors about the things you need to do, but at night, when you're laying there in bed and you're wondering, are these treatments going to work? That's the part that was missing. And so I always kind of prided myself as spending a little bit extra time with the patients as you can, right? But something came up in the year, I found it in the year 2020, is actually in the pandemic, and it was cancer coaching. And so I thought, wow, this is exactly what I'm looking for. You know, being a cancer coach, to be there to support them from that emotional standpoint, to kind of help them with some of the misconceptions, right? So that's kind of that's kind of the evolution of All Talk Oncology. All Talk Oncology started April 2020, right? It was my first podcast, and so from there we just continue moving forward.
That's so heartwarming. Thank you so much. So, what actually triggered you to start your career as a radiologist or an oncology radiology therapist?
To be honest, it was by accident. You know, I,
Mm.
I I wanted to be an architect. I studied all of my years of in high school and preparing myself for college to be an architect. But during the time when I graduated, there was a recession, and what I didn't know at that point, recessions, they come and go, and so I was like, man, I need to do something else. And then I found myself in the medical field, right? I started out as a transporter in radiology, and then one day I moved, transported a patient to radiation oncology. And so that was my first exposure to that. And I thought, wow, this is amazing, right? Because in X-ray, you fall and you just get an X-ray. Did you break your leg? Yes or no? Okay, and then you don't see that person ever again. But with radiation oncology, right, you get to see the patient every day for anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. So I thought, man, that's what I love to do, right? Establish relationships. So that's kind of how I got involved in this, and then it's just continued going.
Well, wonderful. You know, physical hardships are different, but you are dealing with emotional and mental hardships. So, did you ever think for a moment that no, this is too hard and I need to pivot?
Never, to be
Oh,
honest with you, never did I think that, and never have I thought. I'm going into this maybe almost 3 decades now. I'm on my way, but never have I thought, man, this is too much for me. I'm burning out. And you hear a lot about that, right? Burnout
mhm.
it's a real thing, especially here in radiation and oncology, period. You see people who are,
Yeah.
not at their best. And you see
Yeah.
people in their most vulnerable position in life. So how do you how do you handle that? For me, I love it, right? To be it I say it's probably one of the purest forms you can find a human being sometimes, in that vulnerability. And for me, it's about nurturing that trust. right? So burnout never really happened. I found out that my job does affect me one because I never did think my job affected me, but it never was on a burnout.
Wonderful. So many of us ask ourselves, who am I? What is my purpose? Looks like you figured it out for yourself.
Mm.
It's so nice, so awesome. Wonderful. So tell us about your cancer coaching program. That's a wonderful initiative. Is it a rare thing or is it less spoken about?
It's not really spoken about. I think like
Mm,
I was saying, I seen that there was something missing from that emotional standpoint. You know, people need someone to talk to. Of course, in the industry, you have support groups and things like that, but I find that that's not necessarily that one-on-one or that intimacy that you're looking for. you know so for me, I also realized that, what, let me knock out a lot of misconceptions. And what I mean by that, how many people have I seen throughout my career after they're getting the treatment for radiation, the question is asked, um, am I going to be radioactive? Can I be around my kids or my family? And the answer is yes. But you can see the misconception, right? You can see that some people believe radiation, after you're getting a treatment, they're radioactive. Now, there's certain types of treatments that you do have, that you do carry with you, right? I mean, if they insert some seeds, some radioactive seeds in you, you're carrying that, and yeah, you're radioactive in a sense. But for radiation oncology, radiation therapy specifically, you're not. So I talk about that. I talk about that in the program. So I created a program. It's entitled "I Have Cancer. Am I Going to Die?" That's why I titled it, because that's the thought when you first get diagnosed. And it's an unfortunate thing because that's what we know of cancer. It's like cancer and death. But to be honest, there's other things out there that are worse than cancer, in the sense that we talk about heart disease, we talk about diabetes and those things, but never do you contribute to those to uh, to death. But those are some of the leading causes, those diseases. So you can see how we need to break down some of the misconceptions of cancer, and then also I prepare them. What's coming? What can you expect for maybe surgery? What can you expect for chemotherapy? What can you expect for radiation therapy? In the program, I talk about those things. And then we start tackling some of the things about, what happens when you're getting ready for a scan. We call that scanxiety, right? You can imagine the
mm,
trigger, right? The trigger is when you first got into a scan, you first you first got ordered a scan and you found out your diagnosis. So you go through your treatments and things like that. And it's that time again. It's that time again for you to get another scan after all your treatments. What is that? That anxiety is, oh my God, is this going to come back? Is it still there? So we tackle a lot of that with the cancer coaching, with my program. So the program is one thing, cancer coaching is another. You're getting coached through the program. It's an online program. It's about 6 weeks, but also you get exposure to me. Once a month, I talk to you about anything you may be going through. You support it. I talk to you about how to create your support team. So it's on and on. Thank you for asking, but yes, it's all of that. Your mindset. How do you get the mindset? How do you find your team? How do you wake up every day and not necessarily think so much about this is a death sentence to me? That's what my program does, right? Helps you with.
so is this a combined like a classroom environment or how is it the program?
It's an online program, so you get to do
Mm-hmm,
that in the privacy in your own home or wherever you're at. You
mm-hmm.
can travel with it. You have a laptop or your phone. Yeah, you can just go through that. It's created that way. Yeah, it's at your own pace, right?
Yeah.
We have videos that are going to talk to you. This whole program, we walk you through a lot of the things that you're going through. right? Because you have no idea when you first get diagnosed. It's just a lot of fear and
Yes.
anxiety and uncertainty. So we want to break that down. We break that down in our program and trying to help as many people as we can.
I guess the magnitude of fear is pretty high, especially with regards to cancer, because nobody gets to see what's happening inside, but they can feel there is an enormous change in their body. So I guess the magnitude is very high.
You know, it's universal. You know, one of the things I can tell you is that working the podcast, having this podcast has been a phenomenal tool. Um, we empower cancer patients through these insightful conversations that reinforces confidence and certainty about their cancer condition, right? And so the magnitude of people that we've hit, you know, we've been in South Africa, we've been in the UK, we've been in India, we've been in Canada, right? Australia. So it goes on and on. And so when you start thinking about all the people that I'm reaching from a global standpoint, it helps you to appreciate that cancer affects people no matter where you are in this world. And so to have a platform like All Talk Oncology, where I can empower other people so they don't have to feel that they're alone, that they can feel that, you know, they're being supported and someone understands them, you know, is my biggest blessing to me. People will say, man, you're an angel and you're a blessing, but to really, the blessings to me, because I get to see you allow me to trust me in
Great.
that vulnerable state. Yeah, it's an honor to be able to be there and help another human being for sure.
That's so wonderful. I mean, that's really awesome of you to, lend that shoulder and the supporting hand, the compassionate heart. It's really needed for those, especially those going through so much. And I guess the people do become very shy and closed. They do not want to share it with anybody, and you are there and you are helping them out. So it's great. Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about you being called or compared to Oprah Winfrey.
You know, before I started this podcast, you know, I had a thought about it, right? Some type of talk show. I think, would it be cool if it'd be like, you know, people can have a show or something that they can go to and talk to others about cancer, and you have different professionals or things that come in and you kind of speak to them, interview them. And someone was like, "Oh, so we'll be like the Oprah Winfrey of cancer." And I paused. I paused at that because I thought, well, that's kind of funny. But I quickly responded with, yes, yeah, for sure. I would love to have that position, right? I would love to be able to be that person who's helping people through cancer and being able to talk to you about the newest interventions, the new revolutions of cancer, right? Some of the new things, some of the new drugs, some of the new blood tests, some of the, you know, all of the things that are coming in, because where else do you find that? So I started that path, right? We had, I think one of my second guests was with Vision RT. And Vision RT is a system that tracks your body from a surface standpoint. So imagine you getting treatments, and sometimes you move, the patient may move, but we would never see that. Once as therapists, once we get you in the position and we turn our backs and go outside to give you the treatment, we don't know how much you moved, if you moved at all, right? We're trusting that you're going to follow those directions, but it happens. And so with this new innovation, it tracks the patient's surface. So if there's any movement at all, the machine can turn off or it alerts you. So you know, hey, you need to make an adjustment. So that's making sure that you give all of the radiation in the correct area so that they get all of the dose. And we're talking about what kind of tracking? We're talking sub-millimeter. So that's some of the new inventions we have in the world of oncology, right?
Wow. I mean, there should be a lot of advanced treatments and therapies available today. And I guess people are able to handle it in a probably better way because of help like yours, right? And it is hard. It is definitely hard way to go through. And having help at hand and having somebody who could listen to you is priceless.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is that, cancer, it doesn't discriminate, right? I would say that. It doesn't matter if you're young or old, you're black or white,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? It doesn't. Cancer is coming for you. Like it doesn't matter, doesn't discriminate. And so with that being the case, we had so many different guests on our show. We had Alex Trebek, we had his wife on the show before he passed away. And a lot of times that's another piece that gets missed, right? We always focus on the patient who has the cancer, and rightfully so. But what we tend to forget is that the caregivers or the family members that are giving the helping hand, those are the ones that you see that are worrying the most, or they're there set by their side every single day. And that in itself can cause a lot of burnout. So we make sure that we honor and we talk to the caregivers so that other caregivers can benefit from that. So we had Jean Trebek on the show talking about what it was like as a caregiver and how she maintained her strength during that time. So it was a privilege. We've had Samantha Harris from Dancing with the Stars and E Entertainment. She came in and she talked about what it was like when she got diagnosed with breast cancer and the things that she went through. So we've had a host of celebrities who have come onto the show who've actually had cancer or been affected by cancer. We've had a, a love loads of people who have been diagnosed and have gone through it and overcame their fears, overcame their disbeliefs, and thriving, right? So that's what All Talk Oncology is about, and I'm proud to be able to bring that. Right now, I feel like it's the best kept secret. Right now, it's like, no, we need to get the word out there so people know that there is a system in place. There is a channel that they can tune into and get help, and get supported, and find resources.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, is there anything that I mean, cancer is prevailing, no doubts about it. Is there anything that generally people can follow to keep themselves healthy and cancer-proof themselves?
That's the thing we talk about, right? I mean, at this point, people say, well, there's really no cure for cancer. We know
Mm,
that if we find it, there's things that we can do to treat that, you know. But as far as cancer as a whole is what I'm talking about, is there some type of treatment or things that you can do? Not necessarily. There's not this, I've been doing this now almost 30 years, and cancer was around before I even got involved, and it's
mm,
here. So the things that you can do, we talk about, one is nutrition, right?
mm,
The things that we put into our body, right, has a huge effect on us. And it's important that we look at those things, right? We always want to start there, right? You always hear the words or the phrase, we are what we eat, right? We hear that expression. So, food is a very powerful tool. It can help you during recovery. It can help you during treatments. I mean, I've seen people that have poor nutrition, and actually the outcome is poor too, because how do you maintain your body's being treated? It's being we're mutilating good cells and bad cells with radiation oncology. You can imagine what we're doing with chemotherapy. We're destroying cells from systematically, right? In surgery, we're cutting out
mm.
tissues and things like that. So your body needs to recover. So that one of the things we talk about is nutrition is a piece. Now, We had a nutritional scientist on the show, right? Talking about what it was like for her to have cancer and why nutrition plays even more an important role for her, right? And so we did that for all the listeners. So that's one of the things I say is watch the things that we ingest and put into our bodies.
Awesome. All right. So, and you also have a book,
Yes,
right? Yeah, five ways of, um, sorry, five stages of winning with a cancer diagnosis.
yes.
So that should be a very good guide for anybody. Does it also cover about the caregivers?
Well, what we talk about in there, we talk about the stages.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, you know, when you first get diagnosed, it's a shock. It's
Yeah.
a shock, and it's like, oh my God, what do I do? You know, and from shock, sometimes you're going through and you're trying to decipher what's happening, right? And then it's anger. You can't believe these things are happening to you. Then acceptance and you bargaining. And so we talk about those five stages in my book, right? So it helps you, so that can help you to kind of understand a little bit of those feelings. And then what we've done in those chapters, we've taken pieces from the podcast where people have talked about those things specifically, and then we put those little inserts in there so that you can see as you're reading along how these individuals, celebrities alike, and some of my other guests and what they've gone through in those stages. And so, yeah, I'm excited about that, to be able to give back, right? It's about writing the book, having the podcast, creating a program. These have been things like I'm just getting started. My mind continues to always, what can I do next? What can I do next? But I really want to focus on helping people in that initial start. The program is something that if you're a caregiver, if you're a loved one, if you're a cancer patient, and you've just been diagnosed and your family's getting ready to go through this, and you're trying to figure out what role you play, how can you fit in, how can you help, this program is for you. That program is going to walk you through that. This program is going to take out all the misconceptions that you thought about for cancer. And then what we do is how do you get the mindset so that every day you're preparing your mind for a positive day, right? Because we always say the things we say to ourselves matter. And sometimes we're not the nicest people to ourselves, right? We're not as kind as we are to others with ourselves. They say no one can really beat you up more than you can beat up on yourself. And so how do we get you prepared? The things you wake up in the morning and you say, what are your affirmations? Do you have affirmations? How do you create these things? My program helps you all with that. So, it's just trying to be a beacon of light and
Yeah.
in a dark place, right?
Right. I do understand from most of your podcasts and YouTube videos that people have been informed that they have cancer, but don't know what to do next. They are like left with the unknown, and that fear is horrible. So
Yeah.
that's when you come into picture, and definitely you can comfort them and get them through the difficulties and the triumph.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's the most important aspect of your job?
And I think for me, it's just making sure I'm a support system. I'm a resource, right? I want to make sure that no matter what you're going through, that there's someone there that can support you, right? There's someone there that you can talk to that understands you. And sometimes, that I think a lot of times the things that we put out are a lot of the things that we want in our own life, right? And so my family's always been nurturing. So for me, that comes easily, right? But you also want to be understood. I think sometimes people feel that they are unique and no one understands what they're going through. And that can be a vulnerable place. So to know that someone can understand you, you can talk to someone and they can understand those feelings and they can understand those emotions and then support you. And at the same time, continue to treat you as normal. Because I think a lot of times cancer patients, once you get the diagnosis, you don't feel normal. And you feel that people are going to look at you different, right? You take an example. The whole world was shocked when, the Black Panther, that's what we know him as he was diagnosed and he passed away. You're saying, what? No one even knew he had cancer. The man, he was doing movies and he had cancer, right? He had cancer and no one knew. He was doing all of these movies, but he didn't want to say anything, right? Because you don't want to be treated differently, or you don't know how people are going to perceive you, or maybe they're not going to give you work or treat, you know what I mean? Like, who knows? The list of uncertainty is astronomical, right? So really not saying anything. And so I want to get away from that. I want to get away from that and being able to, we could talk about it. And just because you have cancer doesn't mean you're limited. Another example is we looked at Alex Trebek. The guy had pancreatic cancer and he was still showing up to work at Jeopardy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the fierceness, the warriors, the fight in people, like I get to see that. It's priceless to me, and it also helps me to think about my own resilience. When things happen to my life, how do I bounce back? Right? So how do you get hit with this news? Well, we get hit in life. Maybe it's not cancer, maybe it's something different, but we find ourselves in sometimes these vulnerable positions. And then we get depressed and we're stuck and we don't know how to move. It's that. I understand that. So it's like, how do you get the resilience to bounce back and then start to thrive after that? Like, those are the things my program talks about. Those are the things that I'm here for. Those are the things that I want to make sure people know that I exist so that they can have that support and then understanding.
Absolutely priceless. If anybody could get such a great support system, and you actually build a team to support the patient. So that's a great action, actually. It is very hard to build such a strong team who are all on the same page, same momentum. So yeah, hats off to you.
Yeah.
Awesome. hmm So, um, what is it people do not know about you?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I think a lot of people don't even know I exist right now with this program, my podcast. And so that's one of my things that I've been wanting people to know. And then how do I get this out? How do I get the news out? How do I become that person for cancer, right? I want to be that face where people can come to and talk to and, have a sense of resources from, right? So I think a lot of times the compassion, my love for people, and gets missed, right? And I think that happens. Where does that come from? I think it's because you want that. I want that. I've been misunderstood in my life. It doesn't help. Doesn't help either. Sometimes even race plays a role in being misunderstood, right? Being in a different nationality. So things like that. There's so many different factors, right? So what I want people to know is that there's a person out here named Kenny Perkins. He's a cancer coach, and he has created material for you so that you can benefit. There's a book, there's a program, there's a podcast, and there's so many people on this show that talk about their experience and what they've gone through. And the reason I've created that is because I don't want you to have to be alone in that, right? You're not alone in this. That's my phrase. I always say, you're not alone in this. We're in this together. And that's the true statement. I've been doing this for over 2 decades, going on 3. And there's no stopping at this point, right? It's just, how do I get better? How can I help more people? I think people talk about leaving a legacy. I want to leave a legacy and things like that. And I never thought about leaving a legacy. I never thought this is my purpose, you know, but my background and the things I've gone through have led to this. And if the legacy is something that we're going to leave behind, then I want to let people know that I'm trying to help as many people as possible. At the same time, you know, helping myself, right? Because it's therapeutic for me, to be honest with you, to be able to listen to someone go through something. It's a mirror. You say, man, if I had that, how would I bounce back? Or, you know what, I'm going through this right now, and it's not even like that. How am I looking at myself? It's always that. How do you get better? We want to get better as human beings, right? You want to be able to be better. Now, we're imperfect. We're not going to always do things properly, but we always want to try to be better. So, that's the part.
Oh, seems like you have seen more miracles than many of us have, right? You definitely have seen people fight through and get out of it. So, yeah, you are an angel in disguise to so many people, and thank you so much for whatever you're doing. It's awesome.
Thank you so much for saying that. And we just want to get the word out, right? If you're out, like I say,
Definitely.
make sure you look at all our platforms.
Mm.
alltalkoncology.com. I have the website out. All my social media platforms, All Talk Oncology. I'm Kenny Perkins, aka Your Cancer Guy, and that's what I call myself. I'm your cancer guy. I'm the guy that's
Mm.
going to help you through some of this, right? We have tools that we've come as cancer coaches that we put together that we can help our clients to get through that and support them. And I think the more and more people become aware of cancer coaching, and more they become aware that your cancer guy, Kenny Perkins, is out here, the more and more people we can help, right?
You're a cancer guide, not just guy. Yeah. So let's see if you were given extra 6 hours. So you had a 30-hour day. What would you do with those extra 6 hours?
Mm.
Imagine you had everything you already have, whatever you have now. So what would you do?
Ha. You know, so if you want to know a little bit about me, that to me, I love the beach,
Mm.
right? Um, Something tranquil, right? Somewhere on an island. I love the Caribbean. I've been to Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, all of the Caribbean islands, Hawaii. I love the water. And I think that's my escape, right? It's my escape from all of the nastiness that
Mm.
happens in the world. And it just allows me to be like at peace and really see the beautiful things that God created, right? And I think that part of it. So if I had an extra 6 hours, you'll find me at a beach, probably doing something like that, or having at a restaurant, having a drink, talking to someone, right? I'm always been that social person, right?
Oh, cool. And is there anything you would like to change about this overall society, lifestyle?
You know, the world can be a crazy, chaotic place, and so how do you make that change? I don't know. I mean, it's beyond me, to be honest with you.
Mm.
But what I could do is offer support in the areas that I know about. And as a cancer coach, being able to help someone, no matter what their background is, their belief or their religion or whatever it may be, is being able to help a human being. And that's the same way that we learned, right? You learned about the greatest man who ever lived, right? He was helping other individuals, no matter their background or the judgments other people put upon them. And so that's what I say with cancer is it allows me to be able to help people in the purest form, as far as in this world is concerned.
Yes, people should be aware that such a great help is available and they should utilize it. Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. So here we go with the smart five, as I call it. You could give a one word or a sentence answer.
Okay.
All right. So, what is the biggest strength of your company right now?
Hmm. I say the biggest strength we have is um, our resources to help people. You know,
Mhm.
our a program, a podcast, um, to really help people. A book, our resources and our material is probably one of our biggest.
All right. What are you reading or listening to these days?
My goodness, I really haven't had a chance to read much. I have audio, I have book audio, right? I have that, but I tell you what, I have not had a chance working on my programs and working. Yeah, I haven't had it.
You're on the other side, actually, not a reader, you're a writer. I get it. Right. And do you think AI is a blessing or elevation or, you know, it's a threat?
You know, I think it used properly, right? So, I mean, properly is going to be different for everyone else, right?
Mhm.
But if you use something for its good, that's going to help other people, then I think it's phenomenal, right? But if you start utilizing it in a way that is dark, that's going to cause harm, then what you're going to see is something chaotic. It's
Mhm.
unfortunate.
Yeah. So what would you be if you're not a radio oncologist? Radiation oncologist, my bad.
Yeah, if I wasn't a radiation therapist or a cancer coach, I would try to be an architect. That's what I wanted to do in the beginning,
Okay,
right?
right. You go back to being an architect.
Then again, I
Um,
don't know.
so, what's your free time activity?
You know, my free time activity, I love to dance. You know, I love I love salsa dancing, bachata, things like that. I love that whole Latin feel. Um, I write music sometimes when I'm in a bad place. That's kind of like my therapy, writing music. I've been doing that since I was, gosh, 10 years old. You know, so dancing, writing music, you know.
Wow, wow, fantastic. I think I need to do another interview with you to learn even more about yourself. Thank you so much. This is fantastic, and all the best to you. May your work really, help many more people. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me on your program. It's a privilege, and I wish nothing but success to you on your journey.
Thank you very much.